all of the galleries around us, because in Rome today we have 25 kilometers of galleries like that. So all around you have 25 kilometers of salons. And for the elaboration, we're going to put the bottles horizontally like this. And so this is the second fermentation. So the yeast are going to once again consume the sugar, create alcohol and creates carbon dioxide, but this time the bottle is closed. So all of the gas and the pressure are going to be trapped inside the bottle, and this is this step that creates the birth of the bubbles and the birth of the sparkling. So at the end of the second fermentation, you have already a sparkling wine. And then, as you can see in the bottle, just above you, you have all of the yeast which are going to die and to fall on the side. So we are going to name this sediment la lie in French. That's why you can do the aging on lees. So we don't touch the bottle, we leave it like that, and we're going to wait minimum 15 months for a non-vintage and 3 years for a vintage. You don't have the right to do less, because if you do less, you will not be able to name what you produce with champagne. But of course, in Rome, we want to have the best quality, so you have the right to do more. In Rome, this is 30 months for a non-vintage, 5 years for a vintage, and 10 years for a prestigious champagne. And for the biggest bottle, it can be easily 20 years of age. Okay? So during these years, you have an exchange between the lees, the sediment and the champagne. It will create all of the aromas and bring all of the maturity and the complexity. Of course, at the end of the aging, you have to get rid of the yeast, and that's why we're going to do the riddling, turning the bottle. So you can approach a little bit just over here, because we have some riddling back. And so the goal of the next step, the reading, is to get slide down all of the sediments on the side into the neck of the bottle. So two techniques, one by machine, one by hand. By machine, it is for all the classic sizes and the magnum, and it lasts only 1 week. So these are big gyro palettes that turns the bottle several times a day and put the neck down. But for the most prestigious bottle, that is from all the biggest bottle, you have to do it by hand on the riddling rack. So you're going to come back every 2 days into our cellars to turn the bottle 1 quart and to put the neck down a little bit, by a little bit, to really get slide down all of the sediments inside the neck of the bottle. And this technique by hand, it lasts 2 months. This is really long compared to doing it by machine. And at the end of the 2 months, you have all of the sediment inside the neck, so you have to do the disgorgement. So you are going to put the neck down of the bottle, but only the neck, into a freezing solution at minus 24 degrees. And this solution will create an ice block. It will ice the neck. And the ice block will trap the sediments inside. But the rest of the bottle stays liquid. And so when you're going to open the bottle, the ice block which trap the sediment are going to be exposed naturally with the pressure and the gas present in the bottle. So same procedures when you open the bottle with the cork which goes out, but here it's the ice block with the sediment inside. Okay? And then you have to fill up the bottle, so you put a final liqueur which is composed of old wine and sugar, and it will give the style of champagne. So it's now if you decide if you want a brut champagne, a sweet champagne, a demi-sec champagne. For example, brut is between 6 and 12 grams of sugar per liter. On the contrary, a sweet champagne is above 50 grams of sugar per liter. Okay? Mom is more specialized in the brut, so between 6 to 12 grams. Then you put the final cork, not the metal cap anymore, and you put the bottles back into our cellars, but only for a few months, just the liqueur can mix to the rest of the champagne inside the bottle. And that's the end. You have done the champagne, you have just to clean the bottle, put the label on, and ship them all around the world. Okay? So now you know every step of the champagne. You are experts of champagne now.
Thank you so much.